Our favorite childhood superheroes or supervillains all had a crazy set of broad, dense, bolder shoulders. In one way or another, this led to most of us trying out a shoulder day. We were trying to get those Death Star delts before we even knew that was a thing, baby. And intuitively, dedicating time to one particular thing seems like common sense. But there are a lot of people that say shoulder days are trash. So, how good are shoulder days actually? I'm your host with the most receded hairline, Bald Omni-Man, and today, using my own training as an example, together we'll answer that question, overview big, actionable things that you can do today to improve your training, and uncover a few golden tidbits along the way. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. Let's start off this journey to mog our favorite superpowered freaks by cutting to the chase. Do I like shoulder days? Abso-freaking-lutely. If I could explain it in video game terms, training programs remind me a lot of style systems in action-adventure games. You see, these styles are meant to be distinct, but skill expression dictates how things look. And there's usually no style that's inherently meant to be bad. Much the same with shoulder days. It's how you roll the gravy train that matters, baby. And having done them faithfully for almost a year, I can say that not only are they a great idea, but they're also doable in any type of training split as well. As long as you follow a process that I have with 3 steps. So you can't do them the way that most people do them, which is usually just a bunch of isolations done solely for the pump with no real strength goals. That's going to keep you chasing the pump, I'm afraid, without getting you those final form Frieza delts that we're looking for. So let's cover that structure that I like using, starting with the opener. Whether it's a shoulder day or anything in between, giving our first reps and sets of the workout to a big exercise is the way to go. I got this idea from Dan Green, who is, in my humble opinion, the greatest strength athlete of all time. You see, Dan Green at a high level always came into each session wanting to cook up a particular muscle group. But he used the structure of an upper-lower program to do it instead of a bro split. And something that he always did was not only pick that big compound movement, but to perform it in a way that biases a particular muscle group with that variation. So for today's purposes of getting swole shoulders, enter the seated shoulder press. But we're gonna do it a particular way to give a quick applicable update on my road to a 275-pound and eventually 3-plate shoulder press. I recently hit an ability PR with 260 pounds, and that just basically means I hit an old PR, but easier this go around. I sometimes go for ability PRs because I always feel like leaving off the end of a program doing something tough, but still being able to say that I can do more. That's amazing, not only for the physical momentum, but the mental momentum of being able to be hungry for more. I say that to say, I did make a video breaking down the technique that I like to use to balance that shoulder size with the strength, which you can check out after you watch this one if you're interested. But in short, here's what I like to do to bias my shoulders more in this exercise. The first thing I do is the most applicable to most of y'all, and one that I want you to try out more than anything else, but I take a closer grip. This just feels better on my joints compared to taking a wider grip, where some fellas will honestly just take a bench grip with. I like it because it feels better on the joints for most people, but also it makes your shoulders go through more range of motion, which is great for growth. But what comes with that closer grip, it's a little bit more triceps. So the next thing that I do counteracts that tricep involvement a little bit. I just keep my elbows flared a little bit. So that'll reduce that tricep involvement, but also upper chest a bit as well. And lastly, I just keep tension at the bottom of the press. And bada bang, bada boom, you got a shoulder buster, baby. And while you still recruit the triceps and upper chest a little bit, that's only to the benefit of working the shoulders more. And since it is a compound movement that you can load heavy, it's still something that you can train as a main strength movement. Now for one more bonus, I did promise an update on a new little experiment that I've been doing. Past couple months, I've been attacking my weak mid-range with mid-range sets. And basically, I just focus on keeping most of the tension in the middle by skipping the lockout and a little bit of the bottom as well, where I tend to grind out reps or even miss them when they get tough. You see, in an RPG, if you're repeatedly getting one-shotted by fireballs, you raise that fire defense. And much the same, my buddy Sam suggested this because I tended to struggle in the mid-range. I did pin press work in the past as well, which kind of helps in the same way by just making the bottom position way stronger to blast through the mid-range, but just cutting the cheese and working the mid-range specifically has me feeling even more stout and robust throughout my sets. And plus, you get a big old pump, so try it out if you're interested. For you fellas at home that want to try it out, start off by doing it after your main work by doing, like I said, a 12 to 20. There's two big reasons for that. For one, the range of motion is a lot shorter, so you're going to be able to do more reps with the same weight that you would otherwise do on full range of motion, so it just makes sense in that way. And two, simply put, fellas, it just feels like garbage with low reps, so try it out with the higher reps and let me know what you think. I'm really loving it personally. But that does conclude the first step and the end of Chapter 1. We'll be uncovering some uncharted territory moving into Chapter 2. So rest a little bit and load up that intra-workout shake to get some energy back, and I'll see you there. My favorite action sequences in all fictional stories gotta be those cool combination moves, man, because why in the world would you only hit the bad guy once if you're trying to take him down? Now, in gym terms, what that combination attack looks like is this. After I hit a shoulder press, a good shoulder day for me always included at least one more of those presses. I've talked a lot about behind the neck press in the past, and I still do that, but I want to talk about something new today instead. You see, the behind the neck press is just a movement that further isolates and further cooks up those shoulders. But what about a movement that still hit the shoulders, but started to hit some of those other muscles as well? And now, my friends, you see, this is the type of stuff that separates what we're doing from just what you would do on a bro split. I like doing a good old-fashioned close grip bench press, but after those two exercises, which is very important. Since I've already done shoulder press and behind the neck press at this point, the shoulders are taking a back seat to the chest and triceps since the delts are already fatigued. This finishes them off while also beginning to train those other muscles, which is the true key of a good shoulder day. Consideration of the shoulders in every exercise that you do, but not blasting them maximally with everything you do. There's a distinct difference. The cool thing is that closer grip is still benefiting us. It increases the range of motion on the pecs, and since the shoulders are already cooked, the extra range of motion that they would be benefiting from is really getting eaten up by those pecs and triceps. And as a side note, incorporating close grip bench this way has allowed me to get some extra frequency for the chest, so I'm training it 3 times per week now instead of the 2 times that I was before. But to cap it all off and make it actionable and easy for fellas at home to follow, in short, you want to think this. In terms of your main compounds, pick one that hyper targets the shoulders, then hit a movement that assists that first exercise, and finally, maybe one that works the shoulders a bit, but secondarily, and lets you start to cook up some of those other muscle groups. That being said, let's take our swollen delts over to the dumbbell rack and finish up our shoulder day. I'll see you there. How's your workout going so far, fellas? Mine's going pretty good. But while we make our way over to the dumbbell rack, let's cover a little bit more. Consider that you'll also want to sandwich your shoulder exercise with pulls or something that ain't a shoulder exercise. It's dealer's choice whichever one you pick, but in general, I like to hammer those upper back biased pulls since that muscle stabilizes a lot of shoulder exercises in general. Form-wise here, no matter if you do chest supported rows or freestanding barbell rows, the only thing that I keep in mind is pulling my shoulder blades back first and then keeping my wrists and elbows in a relatively straight line, just so that they can dig into that mid and upper back super well. And then I at least try to pause at the top. Those things can mean the difference between feeling your upper and mid back or the exercise just basically being a glorified hammer curl. On that note, I do also want to give a quick update. I have a coaching service called the Omni-Man Hypertrophy app that'll lay out this style of training for you. Now, folks have been curious to know what makes this different from the other training apps that are popping up. It's really simple. It's actually built around my Berserk method coaching style, which for instance follows a distinct structure in terms of the exercise selection, but also the progression. I took the most effective parts of all my programs and just made sure that they reflected in the way that this app coaches you. And it's presented in a simplified way that's easy to follow and comes with in-session, post-session, and end-of-the-week coaching, and training that adapts in ways that I would do it in real life based on your input, which I think is really cool. So if you're interested in seeing a full demo in action, I have it linked in the description and the pinned comment. And if you do use the app, you can try it for 2 weeks and get your money back if you don't get great workouts. But enough talking, let's get another set in. Finally concluding our road to mogging Final Form Frieza. A good shoulder day is a lot like a good team on Pokemon. So if your shoulder presses, behind the neck, and close grip bench are your main damage dealers, then those isolations are like your utility and defensive party members. In terms of the shoulders, isolating the side and rear delts is important for hypertrophy, but I'll tell you what, hypertrophy isn't the end-all be-all when it comes to exercise selection, nor is strength. For that strength and size, I've spoken about it many times before, but I love my boulder shoulder rack attachment and my chest-supported Y raises. Keeps tension evenly throughout the entire range of motion, and overall, they're really good. But I do want to give spotlight to an exercise that most will say is useless and redundant. Enter the alternating dumbbell front raise. Arnold used to do these bad boys all the time, and I enjoy doing them as well, but mostly because they're a way of keeping my shoulders mobile in the overhead position that isn't stressful like a shoulder press is. In video game terms, they're like a unit that has a niche on your team because of the environment that they're in, not necessarily because they're good in a vacuum, because like I said, most people say that these bad boys are useless. But it ain't all about strength and size like we said. Front raises muscularly are just working your front delts and your traps some more, but movement economy wise, I have noticed that aches and pains that I sometimes get, I don't get them anymore. I first got the idea to prescribe movements for things other than just getting big and strong from the late, great John Meadows. Now he would talk about prescribing things purely for the blood flow, and I'm definitely getting that here, but I'm also building mobility. There's a few things that I select for with exercises actually. Mobility, stability, strength, size, and then blood flow. And above all else, fun. These are just freaking cool to do. I feel like such a unit doing these, and they could be useless for strength and size for all I care. But the fun thing, it just takes it off the charts, fellas. And all of these exercises that I talked about today are extremely fun, and I think you'll have a lot of fun doing them. Fellas, that's all she wrote. This is everything that I do on my shoulder day that I've enjoyed for the past year or so. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and like, comment, and share it with a friend. And if you want to be coached through a program like this, check out my Omni Hypertrophy app in the description and the pinned comment. There's also a complimentary demo and tutorial for you to follow there as well. So check it out if you're interested, and I hope y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.